Hey yo, what up fam? It's your boy Max from Witcrew Media granting a special request from a fellow player. So mad props to Prime Kite from the Guild Prime. Much love from you guys over there. Thank you so much for requesting this guy. So today we'll be talking about how to gear up your character properly. I've seen a lot of players getting their item sets kind of mixed up, and while there's definitely nothing wrong with that, I'm here to let you know that there's an optimal way to gear up your character to bring it to its full potential in both PvP and PvE. So if you're still new to the channel, consider subscribing and hit the bell icon so that you won't miss any detailed guides in the future. The best way to start gearing up is to first understand the character you are using. All 6 current classes have innate stats that are suited for them, so here's a list of all classes with their respective stats. So here we see that warriors excel at attack, penetration, health, defense, melee and range damage reduction. Swords on the other hand are being a bit conservative with just having attack and penetration. Clerics boast some attack, defense, and damage reduction traits, while archers are obviously going for that glass cannon initiative. Slayers have gone through some revamps over the past months, but some of the core traits are still there. And lastly, lollies are lining up towards 3 basic stats with attack, a crap ton of penetration, and defense. Now that we've mentioned the innate stats per character, we can now move on to the list of stats that have and don't have a specific cap. So starting with the stats without a cap or a limit, we've got attack, defense, health, penetration, critical resistance, increased PvP damage, increased PvP HP, reduce PvP damage, and increase additional damage, and increase spirit obtain rate or SOR. Up next are the stats with a specific cap or limit. So we have critical rate at 19.5k for PvE and critical damage at 21.5k. Reduce melee and range damage taken capped at 8,000, and stun, silence free, shock, and slow resistance is capped at 10,000 for duel or 1v1 Coliseum and 11,500 for team PvP and Guild War. So before we move on, I'd just like to talk a little bit about Overspirit stats. So these stats go above and beyond the cap. The only drawback is that you need to have Overspirit activated to have it triggered. Let's say you're at a 19,500 crit rate, which is roughly around 79% critical chance. Now, in theory, with Overspirit critical stats, you'd break that cap and hit 80 to 100% critical rate depending on the amount of your Overspirit critical rate stat. With this information alone, I'm guessing you now have a general consensus on how to build your character. But there are a couple of very important things you need to think about before heading over to the exchange and shop for those shiny Dragon Jades. First things first, so prioritize the stats that have a cap and make sure you reach the ceiling. This is actually very easy as grinded stats already have a high base value as well as slot imprints. Getting stats like critical rate and critical damage can make all the difference, especially in PvE. Remember, do not pump these stats too much and just aim for something that's a little bit over the cap. Second is to abuse the stats that do not have a cap or limit. Have you been slaughtered in PvP with a couple of hits, let's just say a heavy slash for 700k? Man, or have you tried tickling a cleric or warrior with your measly 100 to 500 damage? While increase and reduce PvP damage have been tweaked, stats like critical resistance, penetration, and attack have stayed the same. A lot of players have been wondering what penetration is all about, and it's simply just armor penetration. Now, let's put 2 and 2 together. If defense doesn't have a cap, then it would make sense that penetration also doesn't have a cap since that is the counter stat. But if you go overboard, it makes the excess penetration stats obsolete. While you may never know the stats of the enemies you are facing, the general rule of thumb is simple. If the enemy has high defense, pump penetration. If the enemy has high attack, pump defense. It's a fun game of rock, paper, and scissors. Last but not the least is the playstyle you are aiming for. So if you want to be in the front lines to soak up some damage, you'd rather focus on defense items like defense for PvE or limit for PvP since these give a huge boost on your defense stats. If you want to stay at the back and dish out damage, then items like attack for PvE or fighting spirit or destruction for PvP is the answer. If you want to go crazy with defensive stats, then pair it up with will accessories or critical resistance grinds, yeah? Want to basically one-shot someone in the face with charge shot? Well, pump a lot of attack, increase PvP damage and penetration. See, the core of World of Dragonest is basically like rock, paper, and scissors. Although not perfect, I'm looking at you, pre-patch resistance stats, the developers are definitely, working on ways to balance stats out. They'll figure it out, probably in the next 5 years or something. Hashtag sarcasm. Now on to the main topic of this guide. So what item suffix should you use for your character? Since you already have a basic understanding of the stats, I'll save you some time and just head straight to classes and some gear samples for both PvP and PvE. Note that this list is by order of priority. So starting with the warrior for PvE, you can equip attack, penetration, or defense and have some mastery accessories. For PvP, you have Fighting Spirit, Destruction, and Critical Hit for your equipment, and Will, Battle, or Resolution for your accessories. Swords for PvE are doing well with attack, critical damage, or penetration, and coupled with Vengeance, Mastery, and Opportunity. Even Opportunity accessories, they work fine for Sorks since they don't have critical damage in their innate traits. For Sorks in PvP, you have Fighting Spirit, Destruction, and coupled with Will or Battle accessories. Clerics for PvE are pretty straightforward. You have attack, defense, and critical damage, and of course some mastery accessories because your chain skill damage are a doozy. So clerics for PvP, you have Fighting Spirit, Sturdiness, Destruction, and have some Will, Battle, or Iron Wall, or even Resolution accessories. Okay, so moving on to archers for PvE, it's really simple. You just need to have attack equipment. That's just it. And pair it up with Vengeance or Mastery accessories. While for PvP, you have Fighting Spirit or Destruction, and pair it up with Battle or Will accessories, especially for the Windwalkers and Tempests out there. Slayers for PvE, on the other hand, can start with attack, penetration, health, or defense, and also pairing it up with Mastery or Vengeance accessories. But for PvP, a Tank Slayer is one of the nastiest classes to take down. Believe me. So for PvP, you can either have Destruction or Fighting Spirit if you want to deal some damage, but Sturdiness paired up with Will or Iron Wall is very nasty. Trust me, it's so hard to kill a Slayer with Lifesteal. Moving on to academics, in PvE you have attack, critical damage, defense, and health for the supports out there, and pair it up with mastery accessories. For PvP, you have Destruction, critical hit, or Fighting Spirit paired up with Will, Battle, or Iron Wall. So notice the common thing about this list. When it comes to PvE, you just need to pump out attack. In PvP, Fighting Spirit, which gives penetration, is the common suffix to grab as you can already feel its effect due to the high volume of players with plus 20 to 30 equipment, which basically means they have high defense. The rest are basically preference dependent. A great example are archers. I've seen a lot of them building up critical damage and critical hit despite archers having an innate stat for critical rate and critical damage. Again, there's nothing wrong with that because you also need to factor in their budget or their luck in drops, but this will hinder your class from reaching its peak, which is a face-melting, dragon-slaying, party-saving DPS that's still unmatched to this day. Warriors, on the other hand, can abuse penetration since attack is their innate stat. Pairing up damage with armor penetration works a lot of wonders in both PvP and PvE. Before we end this video, I'd just like to point something out. So if pumping CP is what makes you enjoy the game, then by all means, please do. No one should be the judge of that, but to those who don't prefer it, I want you to know that stats are more important compared to combat power. You'd rather pick up an S attack grind over a cap SSS melee damage reduction grind, as chances are you already have that cap. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope this guide helped you out. If it did, clicking the subscribe button comes a long way, and hitting the bell icon will guarantee that you won't miss any detailed guides in the future. But before I go, I'd like to again thank PrimeKite from the Guild Prime for requesting this guide. I definitely had fun making this one. Also, dropping some quick shoutouts to these beautiful people. We have Mears and Mimirs, the power couple. Also, Mimirs is also a content creator, so check her channel out in the description below. Zian from Quinks, Frido Potato from Requiem, and Ruzki from Typhoon Kim. That's all for now, my dudes. Peace out, be nice, stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.